DegloireSpace signing in. Everyone looks back at the past and they poeticize it. How romantic people were in the past. The man would come beneath the balcony of the lady and he will write poetry to her. He would long for her and she would long for him. They would wait for each other through dramas, through wars, through separation, through mass oppressions, and even through force from their own families. They will love each other till the end of time. People these days, they write that they long for this kind of thing, that is all old news now. But here on DegloireSpace, we like to ask questions that others probably don't want to ask. And the question here is this true? Is this what people really want, but they can't seem to find anymore? Does this thing even exist? And what does it take to make such a thing real? Or is it just fantasy? Firstly, let's get something straight. The world has changed. If right now you write handwritten, I guarantee you a lot of women will probably not be able to read your handwriting. If you try to be elaborate and articulate in your language, most people wouldn't probably know what you're saying. Secondly, and more importantly, the ideas you have of that era come from the media. They're not straight from the horse's mouth. And the media showcases things that were not common, because the non-common things, those are the more interesting things, which is a big hint about how to live your life. The uncommon is generally where the more beautiful is. But let's get along with the whole thing about that era. That era, whenever it was. The reality is you never lived it. You were never there. You might know somebody who lived back in the 70s or 80s and they tell you about how life was better then. It was a lot more chill. But you yourself, you don't know this. You're just listening to that person's experience. And we always get this idea that life was simpler. There was no complexities. But I'll debunk that in a moment. Hey, just go listen to the songs of back then. Just go watch some media reels from back then. They were looking back at the time before them. There was heartbreaks. There's a lot of heartbreak songs. Deception, violence. Even that song from Jimi Hendrix. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Heard you caught your woman with another man. What I'm trying to say to you here is you can't be selective. Selectivity is bound to harm you because you start thinking these things don't exist back then. If I was living back then, everything would have been perfect. And so you start giving yourself excuses to make you not feel enough. And you start feeling sorry for yourself. Why wasn't I born in that era? Look at now. Look what I have to deal with. There's no doubt that romance has changed its packaging. The outside looks different. We don't write letters anymore. We don't use feathers. We don't dress in hats. Even myself, when I got into that phase of dating, I remember before, in my early times, when I was in high school, I didn't have a phone. So I in fact used to write letters by hand. When text messaging started and emailing and things like that, I used to consider those things not so romantic. So when I wrote a few stories, I wrote a few books. When I wrote those, I would try my best. If the hero is going to talk with the woman, he's going to not talk through text messaging or any way of technology. It was my idea that that's not romantic. Of course, I've changed from that, so don't worry about me. Romance is how you assign it. It's not in itself. Most people don't allow themselves to be in love the way that those big stories tell us. You see, when you're in a situation like that, it's not easy. And most people can't handle that. Imagine you, not the other person. Okay, everyone wants the other person to love them unconditionally. But you, are you prepared to do that? Loving someone through thick and thin, loving someone through uncertainties, to have that much hope in someone, to have so much faith in someone. And this isn't a product of an era. This kind of deep love is in fact a rarity. And not only is it rare, it's frowned upon as well. If you've ever been in that scenario, even if your partner or the lover that you have doesn't pressure you, people around you will find ways to put pressure on you too. They'll be talking to the woman, telling her, hey, They'll be talking to the man, say, Usually comes from the woman's side, though it can happen both ways. But I'll tell you that love still exists. Rare cases, just like it was rare in the past. Two people love each other so much that they can't imagine another person. But remember, it's not the rule, and it never was the rule anyway. That idea that old school women waited on the men no matter what, or vice versa, it was more circumstantial, more social than it was love, or that it was an inner conviction. Remember, back then, roles in society were a lot more clearly defined. Like basically, if you were a man, this is what you needed to do. If you're a woman, this is what you need to do. It's got nothing to do with inner conviction. It's a social conditioning, a social programming. And there are some societies out there till now, minorities, but they still have those kind of values. But value is not the same thing as I feel it from inside. And also, it's not for everyone. That whole thing that a woman says it's either that man or no one, that's rare. Or even the opposite, where a man says it's either that woman or no one. It's actually quite a rarity. Personalities are different. Some people are out for the outer experience, a picturesque romantic date. For some women, it could be they only give that kind of attention to someone who provides. For others, it could be they need someone who gives them continuous attention. When that attention's gone, they're gone too. And none of them are wrong, as long as you own the type that you are. These days, we have a bad stigma that, for example, a man needs to do everything. He needs to be the provider, the romantic guy. He has to tickle the whole list. To be honest with you, that's not just rare. That's actually not even possible. I don't think there is a person out there that can tick every box. I don't think it's possible. Some people might be very well spoken, but they don't like to work too much. Some people might love working and providing, but they're not that interested in conversing and saying sweet things. And now partner that with these slogans and, short reels you see on TikTok and such where, woman, you deserve this, you deserve the whole list or nothing. If you listen to that stuff, you know what? You're going to end up with nothing because you're looking at a list. You're not looking at a person. You see, romance isn't about what the other person is doing. It's as much as important as what version of you is showing up. If you have the idea of, what do you do for me? Even if Romeo, from Romeo and Juliet, was to show up at your doorstep, you would just ask him, what are you doing for me? And you know what? No romance is going to be possible. Those same actions that Romeo provided to Juliet are going to look needy, ugly, desperate. And that's important because that puts us to the point that the lens that you're looking with, that's what's going to say whether that person is romantic or not romantic. You need to have the right lens that you're looking at someone. If you're looking at someone with the list, that lens is not going to allow you to see love. So what to do? Make yourself the vessel of the thing you want to receive. If you're not open, you won't receive. If you're out for an experience, that's what you'll get. If you're out for substance, that's what you'll get. Experiences are a shell, substance is the content. What are you looking for? Are you looking for the shell or are you looking for the content? You might say, can't someone have both the shell and the content? Yeah, it's possible. But if you prioritize the shell, you won't get the content. The content needs to be what you're really looking for. That needs to be the priority because that's the lens that you're seeing with. If you're out for the content, you'll see it. Suddenly, the shell will start looking prettier. Romance isn't dead. The image of it has shifted. The world is a different place from the times of the classics. Think about this. We see more faces on our devices than they would have seen in their entire lives. We don't have moments of quiet anymore. Our minds are constantly flooded with things that are telling us how we should feel, what we are missing out on, what we should be getting, how we should be interpreting situations. Oh, she's taking long to reply to me. What does this mean? We never let ourselves feel. How could you be longing for someone anymore if you don't let yourself long for anything? You've forgotten a feeling of longing. You don't have that feeling. And longing creates depth. If you do want that old romantic feeling that you talk about, sit with yourself. Give yourself space and a break from constant stimulation. Oh, he hasn't replied to me. Let me see what else is out there. If you don't radiate your love, you won't be able to receive love. DegloireSpace signing out.